will also be shared by email upon speaker's approval. The webinar will be recorded and will be posted on the ProPack Asia website. Your certificate of participation will be sent out within 5 working days after you have completed the webinar survey. So for today's session, we will have 5 speakers with us today. So let's begin with Mr. Sean Harrington. He is the chairman of ISBT BevTech Thailand. He will give us a little bit of introduction of the International Society of Beverage Technologists, or ISBT. So please welcome Sean. The floor is yours.
Thank you. I'll just share my screen. So thanks for joining us today. I'm here in my capacity as chairman of ISBT BevTech Asia Pacific, and I just wanted to give you a brief overview about ISBT. We're an international partner with ProPack, and that's why we are joining this webinar. And thank you to the ProPack organisers for giving us the opportunity. The International Society of Beverage Technologists, or ISBT, as everybody knows it, is basically a technical organisation for the beverage industry. And we're an association that drives sustainability, growth, resolve challenges, and leads productivity innovations. Our mission is to provide a networking forum for technical collaboration focused on expanding expertise and advancing beverage science. Basically, we're a resource for any beverage company to get assistance or technical advice or technical knowledge about any aspect of the beverage industry. We have committees within our organisation that can help you in every aspect of the beverage business. We have experts in many different areas of the industry, and we also have our Beverage Institute, which allows people to become trained on various aspects of the beverage industry. We also have a beverage industry resource guide as part of our membership, which gives you access to all of the resources, again, in various parts of the business. So that's companies that supply services or consultants that can supply services and help to your business if you've got specific needs. And we have our BevTech conferences. So I'm responsible for the BevTech Asia Pacific conference. And we're also always looking for help on our BevTech committee. So if you want to become an ISBT member and help us on our BevTech committee, that would be much appreciated. We're always looking for bottlers and technical partners to help us on those committees. And we usually have the BevTech conferences annually or biannually. It depends on the region of the world. Our technical committees are based covering all aspects of the beverage industry, beverage gases, packaging technology, beverage operations and processing, quality control, beverage and ingredient R&D, sweeteners, sanitation and microbiological control, and also water quality testing and treatment. And we have a lot of experts in those specific areas. One of the presentations you're going to get today is from Gary, who's an expert on beverage gases. And we have a lot of members like that have very in-depth knowledge, have been working in those industries for many years. So if you want more information about ISBT and what we can do for your business, then please visit our website at isbt.com. And if you select the committees tab, you can get more deeper information about those technical committees. The Beverage Industry Resource Guide is basically allows you to access, as I said before, suppliers of various things that you'll need for your beverage business, from beverage gases to manufacturing, consultants, drink brands, ingredients, instrumentation, processing and packaging, etc. And you can also access that through isbt.com. So basically, ISBT is where the beverage industry goes for its technical educational needs. And we've got lots of courses that we can provide to train your staff if you have staff, or train yourself if you want to learn about a new aspect of the beverage industry. We're affiliated with many international beverage related organizations, as you can see on the screen here. We have our main BevTech conference this year in May 6th to the 8th in Orlando, Florida, and you'll have about 350 technical experts there to connect and network. And this is all part of the membership that you subscribe to. You get access to this conference. We have ISBT in Europe as well, LATAM, and as I said, we have ISBT BevTech Asia Pacific, which is my responsibility. And you can join ISBT quite easily through the website, and you'll be able to get access to all of the information related to ISBT and ISBT guidelines for the beverage industry. So please check our website and you'll get more information there. So yeah, thanks for listening to me. It was a short presentation, but just to give you an overview.
Thank you so much, Sean. Thank you for the introduction of ISBT. So we're moving on to the next speakers. For the next speaker, I would like to invite Mr. Gary Robson. He is the Managing Director at Show Purity. He will be presenting on the topic beverage industry challenges. So please welcome Gary.
Thank you, June. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much to ProPack for the kind invitation to present today. I'm just going to quickly share my slide with you, and then we can begin. Okay, so the title of my slide, my presentation today is Maintaining Beverage Grade Quality to ISBT Guidelines. So Sean already mentioned ISBT and give you a good overview of the society and what it can do for the beverage industry. So without further ado, let me just give you a quick overview of my company. So Show Purity, we're based in the UK. We're a manufacturer of multi-stage polishing filters for CO2 for the beverage industry. And the company directors, we have over 100 years experience within the beverage industry. And the company was founded in 2016. We have a state-of-the-art manufacturing facility. It's based in Newcastle in the northeast part of England. We're 9001 certified, and also to the Australian standard AS 1210 for manufacturing of pressure vessels. So I'm a former president of the ISBT and board member, and I also sit on the Beverage Gases Technical Committee. I'm very proud to tell you that our company, Show Purity, was awarded the Queen's Award for Enterprise in 2022. This is the most prestigious award that a British company can be awarded, so we're very proud of that. So the content of my presentation today is, first of all, we're going to look at where does your CO2 come from, the traditional sources of CO2 and the emerging sources of CO2, because this landscape is changing rapidly, and I'll explain the reasons for that. We're going to discuss beverage gas quality and the food safety strategy that you can have in place or put in place to ensure that you produce a high quality beverage and maintain food safety. And then we'll do a bit of a deeper dive into CO2 polishing filters and their role in protecting beverage quality. So where does the CO2 come from? Well, traditionally, CO2 has come from a number of fossil fuel sources. So probably the most common is fertilizer manufacturing, ammonia fertilizer, then hydrogen production, fermentation, combustion, and various different petrochemical sources of CO2. Now, all of these sources require, at some stage in the process, fossil fuel, i.e. natural gas or coal, to power the process of producing the CO2. Another common source only in certain parts of the world are natural wells. And of course, these are not fossil fuel because the CO2 comes out of the ground. So the disadvantages of traditional sources, well, first of all, they're primarily a byproduct. So if we take the fertilizer source, CO2 is a byproduct of that fertilizer production process. Of course, they're reliant on fossil fuel, and they're often seasonal. Manufacturing of the primary product can affect the supply chain of the CO2 from those sources. And this is very common in ammonia fertilizer, where it's only produced in certain months of the year. And in those other years, when it's not present or not in production, then you have these problems occur with the supply chain disruption. The other effect of some of the traditional sources is the complex supply chain. So a lot of these sources are not traditionally near the beverage production. In some cases they are, but that's very rare. Typically, they're on industrial parks, far away from the populative centers where you find the beverage production facilities. So, but this is changing, and why is it changing, and why there is urgency to develop the new sources? Well, there's a number of influencing factors here, societal, political, economical, but the main pressing reason here is environmental. So climate change, for the greenhouse gas reduction goals, COP28 this year launched a number of initiatives at government level on all governments around the world to accelerate the greenhouse gas reduction goals. And you're seeing this, the effect of this is happening right now. So the other thing is that's influencing this is carbon credits or fee-fine avoidance on emissions. So a good example of this is New York City law, Local Law 97, which is coming into effect next year. And this requires any operators of large buildings, the landlords or the development companies, to reduce or eliminate the emissions from these large buildings. So if you think about in Asia, there's a lot of cities with very tall buildings, and these could also follow New York's example of requiring a reduction or elimination of emissions from large buildings. Typically, these are coming from the centralized heating systems, which, for example, in New York, these are all powered by natural gas. The waste to energy circular economy, so this is farm and food waste, is also driving this. So there's a huge development of anaerobic digestion economies around the world. And what these are doing is producing biomethane from farm and food waste. And of course, the byproduct of that is CO2. So it's typically a 60-40 split, 60% methane and 40% CO2 from that process. The other thing that's driving this is the continued supply chain disruption we are seeing with the traditional sources. The traditional sources are rapidly diminishing, and this is primarily because of carbon capture and storage is driving the direction of that to make sure that a lot of these traditional sources considered carbon emitters are either shut down or the CO2 is captured and sequestered, typically underground or under the ocean. And the other driving factor here is the reduction of the complexity of the supply chain from getting the CO2 from the source to the utilizers. So this chart here, this table shows you typical contaminants, the 16 common impurities that we find across all sources of CO2. So along the top, you can see here, we've got combustion, wells, geothermal, fermentation, the hydrogen ammonia production, coal gasification, and ethylene oxide production, which are the typical contaminant-related sources. And you see down the left-hand column here, these are all what we call source-specific impurities. And then if you read along, you'll see where they can be present in those sources of CO2. The one I would point out, which probably causes the most problems of all of those on a regular basis, is benzene, and that's second from the top. And you can see here that benzene can actually exist in all of those sources. Trace impurities in CO2 can cause a number of sensory negative impacts on your beverage. If I take just the four common ones, acetaldehyde, this is ever present in fermentation sources. And acetaldehyde presents a apple off flavor, which is probably fine if you're producing apple cider, but you certainly don't want it in a lemon lime beverage or even a carbonated water, where it would be even more distinguishable. DMS and sulfur content, this is also extremely common. DMS you're going to find in typically fermentation sources, and particularly where it's a brewery, and it's the most common, I would say, contaminant in breweries that are fermenting and producing light lager, which is the #1 type of beer in the world. And the pale lager, highly carbonated beers you find around the world can produce the corn, sweet corn off flavor in some beers. Again, not something you want in your soft drink. And then benzene, I already mentioned that this is probably the most common around the world. It causes the most problems. It is a toxic carcinogenic compound, and it is highly regulated. So this should not be in the CO2 at all. And it is also tightly regulated by the beverage brand owners and the CO2 producers, with the lowest regulatory permitted limit of 20 parts per billion. And then isoamyl, which is, again, it's a fermentation off flavor, and this can be detected quite easily at ppm levels. And these are your banana off flavors that you're typically getting in Belgian style or European style beers, ales. So it's important then that we have control of our ingredient carbon dioxide. And I stress that carbon dioxide should be treated as an important ingredient because it can have large negative impacts on your beverage production. It is the only industrial gas used as an ingredient in the production of beverages. And typically the CO2 that's dissolved in the beverage is consumed. So we ingest the carbon dioxide along with the soft drink. Because it's a byproduct of industrial processes, you're going to have a lot of trace source-specific impurities like benzene, H2S, COS, etc. It is a complex supply chain with a number of opportunities for cross-contamination. The product should always be analyzed, and the product should always be certified. If you're buying CO2 and you're not getting a certificate of analysis, then you need to change that pretty quickly, because you need to know what is in your CO2. This is important because there's been a number of historical quality issues, some of them pretty major events that have attracted very negative publicity, which can damage your brand, highly damage your brand. And with the speed of social media these days, that's even a higher risk. So the developing new sources of CO2, first of all, we have biogas upgrading. This is probably the fastest growing new source of CO2, particularly in Europe and Western Europe and the UK. we're seeing an explosion of this production source, primarily for the biomethane. We had some major influencing factors in Western Europe because of the war between Russia and Ukraine was affecting the natural gas supply chain. So there was another need really to accelerate the biomethane population that we see today. So this is on a huge growth curve, and doesn't look like it's going to slow down anytime soon. And then there's direct air capture, which is gaining some traction, but is not quite exploding in the way that biogas is today. And then you've got also carbon capture from various emitters, so power stations, anywhere where you've got a source of CO2 that has high enough volume with a good enough starting purity to be able to purify and produce merchant grade CO2 in various different grades. So a lot of these new sources of CO2 have challenges. Like anything that's new that's introduced to the market, there are always challenges to overcome. They are early stage development. They do require a huge investment. So just to give you an idea, an average size AD plant with the CO2 capture facility is around a $20 to $25 million investment. So not small investments at all. The other thing that seems to be really affecting them is the competition and the proprietary information that the operators protect is restricting mass adoption. So that's kind of slowing them down a little bit right now. If it's not slowing them down, it's certainly causing issues with transparency across those new sources. The majority of them have limited capacity, limited output. When I'm talking about CO2, you're talking maximum 15 tons a day, 15 tons per day. So that's very small, and that's a very large AD plant that's producing that. But I'm sure there's plans, and there's big energy companies out there planning to introduce much larger scale operations with greater CO2 output, because the demand is certainly there for it. They're affected by long lead times for capital equipment, restricting the speed of growth. For example, CO2 recovery plants for biomethane operators, for example, are typically a minimum of 18 months to 2 years lead times. You certainly can't get one for faster than a year. So long lead times for this type of equipment. And at an operator level, there's very limited knowledge base, especially around CO2 quality assurance. So typically they're in agricultural areas. A lot of the operators are agricultural firms, farmers, or they have very limited understanding of the quality assurance required for CO2 to produce beverage grade CO2 for the industry. And they're all operating in disjointed silos. There are a few associations, but typically their operations, their companies are all operating separately. And this is hindering their development because of the limited knowledge they have is not being shared. But what do we need as an industry? So the beverage industry needs liquid carbon dioxide for beverage production for a number of applications, but primarily for carbonating the beverages. And we need it to a high enough quality standard that doesn't pose a risk to the consumer. So 3 organizations exist to ensure this. EIGA, which is the European Industrial Gas Association, CGA, which is the Compressed Gas Association of America, and for the beverage industry, ISBT. So the 3 organizations got together and harmonized the quality requirements on standards and guidelines as a global standard. And this is published, the methodology is published, and these can be purchased, these guidelines for you to follow if you're a gas producer, or if you're a beverage company, want to check the quality of your CO2 against these harmonized standards. And I can tell you that these have been adopted by the major brand owners, beverage brand owners, for their internal quality requirements for their CO2 suppliers. So this is the batch specification to ISBT, and this is beverage grade. Okay, so we're only interested in beverage grade. We're a beverage industry, and all we need to be buying is beverage grade CO2. And the reason for this is this list has been carefully selected and curated to ensure that none of the trace impurities that are commonly found in CO2 sources can enter the supply chain and affect your beverage quality. One thing to point out, aromatic hydrocarbon in the ISBT guidelines, this refers to benzene specifically, and that is a maximum allowable limit of 20 parts per billion. So there's a number of items on here as well, which are not specifically chemical impurities. These are more sensory, which require a different test. So a lot of this on here, if there are chemical impurity, can be monitored with a CO2 analyzer, a chemical analyzer. But there's a number of items on here like the appearance in water, the odor and taste in water. These are a manual test that should be done by the CO2 supplier, but also the beverage company, to ensure there are no sensory impacting impurities present in the CO2. How does it compare to food grade? So you'll hear a lot of companies offering you food grade CO2. And in this case, you can see here the ISBT quality CO2, which is also the same that the global beverage brand owners use, is quite more stringent than the food grade to FCC or CFR grade food grade CO2 on the right-hand column. There's a number of areas you can see here which are blacked out, which don't exist in food grade, which are extremely important to the beverage industry, that should be monitored and reported in a certificate of analysis. Things like acetaldehyde, aromatic hydrocarbon, and benzene, total sulfur. So these all should be included in the batch report and be able to be inspected at any time by the beverage company. So we always recommend not to buy food grade for a beverage application, because food grade CO2 is typically used for meat freezing, fish freezing, other food-based applications, where the CO2 is not actually used as a carbonating ingredient. So quality from the beginning to the end, the gas source, the quality must begin at the source. Even monitoring the quality of the gas from the raw gas that's produced by the CO2 supplier. The raw gas producer and the CO2 company must always be in frequent communication and must always understand if there are any changes at all in the raw gas analysis, and because that can affect the performance of the CO2 purification system from your supplier. And you must understand also the seasonality changes or any new raw material variability that can affect that raw gas analysis and quality. A good example of that is sugar beets, where sugar beets are harvested twice a year, and the moisture content is different between the spring sugar beet and the fall or the autumn sugar beet, and this can have an impact on the quality of the CO2. So this all has to be considered in the process plant design in the CO2 purification system. Robust quality monitoring program must be in place, and the CO2 supplier must often be audited and only issued with an authorization to supply beverage grade CO2. The process plant design must be based on a worst case scenario with multiple raw gas samples tested. So a good fingerprint can be established and you must understand what could be in your CO2 at certain times of the year. The scrubbing and purification choices are then based on the best engineering practice, and so often it can be a proprietary design of the manufacturer. You must think about the environmental impact for water use. You must think about energy use, noise and emissions. These must always now be considered and be high on the agenda for building a CO2 recovery plant. The storage capacity must be balanced with the production flow rate, i.e. the raw gas flow rate, the production flow rate purification plant, and the demand side. So how many tankers can be loaded on a daily basis. At the CO2 production plant, the quality of the CO2 must always be monitored. A full list of impurities must be monitored in the batch. And the first place to start monitoring is the liquid to storage pipeline. This is the main pipeline feeding the tanks. So you can have an early warning if something is not right with the CO2 before you would contaminate the tanks. You must always monitor the quality of the CO2 in the tanks because that's where your batch analysis is going to be completed. And you must have a full or partial list of impurities monitored as part of a sequenced and regular monitoring program. This could be every hour, every 2 hours, depending on the programming of the CO2 analyzer. So batch analysis, a full list of impurities must be monitored. Best practice is created to create a discrete batch analysis. You isolate the batch, release only after the test has passed, and then you identify this with a unique serialized ID and record this for future reference or for auditing. You can control the product flow in isolation with a PLC and direct communication to and from the analytical system and sequence that within the program. We recommend always having a high level warning at 80% of the specification, and that can prevent an early warning if something goes wrong. Take care that there's no intermingling of product between batches, and then you load directly the finished product into the truck or a rail tanker. Every delivery must come with a certificate of analysis, and COC is certificate of compliance. If you're a beverage brand owner and you require this, and this is a legal document that forms the contract between the supplier and the client. The compliance statement must require detailed information about where and when the product was produced, by whom, record the batch ID, the vehicle ID, seal numbers. So all of the inlet outlets on the tanker must be sealed with seal security numbers, ID numbers, and they must be recorded, tamper evidence seals. Driver ID and a statement that this is the first delivery and not a partial load. So this is the standard procedure now for delivering beverage grade CO2 to a beverage producer. Then your analysis results will be summarized in a table, and this is a typical C of A, and you can see there you have purity, odor and taste and water, so that's a manual test, a sensory test, total volatile hydrocarbons, total volatile hydrocarbons is non-methane, moisture, total sulfur, and aromatic hydrocarbon as benzene. So these must all be recorded on the certificate of analysis. Here's a quick overview of a truck loading and certification system. Again, the delivery vessel security, it's important that the seals, tamper evidence seals must be applied, and they must be serial numbered, and these must be recorded. When you receive a delivery of CO2, the quality must be verified. You can do this with an on-site CO2 analyzer, or you can do a simple sensory test and then do the remaining chemical analysis using detector tubes. But of course, it's much easier just to do it with an on-site analyzer. It's quick and easy and automatic. The reason for that is because the supply chain of the CO2 is quite complex. There's a number of opportunities here for cross-contamination, and you can see from the beverage production facility on the left, by the time the truck gets to the beverage production facility, it could have gone through 2 or 3 changes of hands. If you're a restaurant operator and that CO2 is then broken down into smaller batch cylinders or mini bulk delivery, then for fountain and post mix, it can go through even more hand changes. So opportunities for cross contamination. So all that being said, yes, we understand the risk of CO2, but there are a number of things you can do to protect yourself as a beverage company. And one of them is using multi-barrier polishing filters. These can remove all of the chemical impurities and the sensory impacting impurities that can be found in CO2. By using them, it ensures compliance with the global brand owner requirements. It standardizes the key ingredient, CO2. It prevents contamination of the carbonated beverages. It certainly prevents consumer complaints and any potential brand damage, any sensory defects, and avoids costly recalls. The CarboGuard system from Sheer Purity removes all of those impurities listed in the ISPT and the global brand owner requirements. In addition to that, there's enhanced protection with the carbonyl sulfide barrier. So this is quite important when the CO2 is coming from some of the newer sources, because these can have high levels of COS. The system works by continuously polishing, so continuously removing the trace impurities that are always present in the deliveries of the CO2, but it also protects you in the event of a spike or a quality incident, and it will protect you up to 10 times the brand owner specification. It works by working through 5 stages of purification, and then there's an optional stage 6 sterile gas filter, which you would use at the end of the line to remove any microbiological contamination, which is very important if your CO2 is coming from fermentation sources. So we need to make sure that you have a sterile grade, a 0.2 micron filter, if your CO2 is coming from a fermentation source. The system is designed using a modular design technique. It only uses the capacity that you need today. And because it's modular, you can add on additional modules as you're adding extra lines. The system works with a 12 months maintenance interval, and it's typically a 50% reduction in your OPEX consumables compared to traditional CO2 filters. And the system comes with a 10-year warranty. So this is a quick overview of how the system works. You can see you have stage 1. This is cleaning the CO2 of any physical impurities like NVR, NVOR. What that stands for, that's an ISBT term, non-volatile residue and non-volatile organic residue. These are removed here at stage 1. This is typically oil, dirt, rust, grease, plasticizers, because liquid CO2 is an excellent solvent and it can strip the plasticizers out of rubber hoses and seals. Stage 2 is removing moisture and some light hydrocarbons. And then stage 3 is removing the volatile hydrocarbons, including benzene. And then stage 4 is removing the volatile sulfur compounds. And then stage 5 is a final polish just to remove any fine particles, which then leaves the CO2 completely pure and free of any impurities. It's a cartridge-based system, CarboGuard, and we're using a snowstorm filling technique. And the snowstorm filling technique is ensuring a equal resistance to flow through the media beds, and this ensures maximum contact time between the CO2 and the media, and ensures that no bypassing or channeling, like you can see on a traditional bed, can take place. It's 12% more efficient, and it enables us to get more media into a smaller space. The unique COS barrier is used to stop any carbonyl sulfide from passing through the bed, through the filter. This is important because COS is extremely difficult to remove. Many CO2 companies cannot remove CO2 in much more than very small trace amounts, because it can quite easily overwhelm and overcome the CO2 purification process. So this media was specially developed by Sure Purity, and it has excellent properties for the continuous and permanent containment of COS. So the brand owner requirements, so for example, Coca-Cola has required every one of its bottlers in the world to use multi-barrier polishing filters since 2001. PepsiCo also followed in 2018, and they also require all of their bottlers or contract fillers, co-mans, to have the multi-barrier CO2 polishing filters. And this is because it has prevented many quality incidents from occurring. So here's a few pictures of some installations around the world. You can see that it's a really nice, clean installation. These are a couple of duplex installations where the customers have chosen to install 2 systems on the same CO2 plant. And these can be easily configured and connected using an end-fed manifold pipe arrangement, which you can see here in the middle picture. And I would just like to finish by informing you that if you are attending ProPack Asia in Bangkok in June, that I will be there, my team will be there from all over Asia. So we have a big team for Sure Purity Asia will be present at ProPack Asia. So if you're from the Philippines, from Indonesia, from Thailand, from Australia, New Zealand, any of those countries, we will have team members there to discuss CO2 quality with you. Our advice, our knowledge is free. So we would love to welcome you to booth number P51. Please make a note of that, booth P51, which is the JW Industrial Instruments stand, JWII. So please come and talk to us. We'd love to meet you, answer any of your CO2 quality related concerns, and we can share the best practices with you to get the best quality out of your beverage supply chain, ensuring a food safety framework. Thank you very much for your attention, and we can welcome any questions either now or at the end. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much, Gary. Thank you for sharing the presentation. For the questions, we will do it after the last speakers of today. So please hold on with us. Okay. Thank you, Gary. So for the next speakers, we will be listening to the innovation in beverage technology presented by Mr. Alexander Kozlov from Molecular Processing Solutions, Polytech. So please welcome Alexander.
Yeah, thank you very much. First of all, Gary, I would like to thank you for a very interesting presentation. I was listening to you attentively, and right now, with the help of your filters, I'm sure that the quality of CO2, the beverage quality, first of all, the beverage quality will be maintained.
Thank you, Alexander. Thanks.
Yeah, let me share my screen now. I hope that all of you can see my screen now. First of all, I'm very happy. Second, maybe I'm very happy to be here in the webinar. And dear ladies and gentlemen, though we are many hours apart. I live in Cancun, which is and Thailand is like 12 hours ahead. The technology brings us all together in one room. I think that's amazing. So I would like to draw your attention today to the particularly interesting topic, which is innovations in the beverage technology. We'll speak today about the beverage carbonation in general, and we will focus in particular on the subcarb carbonation technology, which is different from the traditional carbonation technologies you may all be familiar with. We will also speak a little bit about the CO2 efficiency monitoring best practices, as Gary has noted. It's in shortage. The supply chains are disrupted. That's why it's quite wise to monitor the efficiency of usage of CO2 in the beverage facilities. So bottlers must use and must monitor what CO2 they are using line by line, preferably. So let's go directly to the presentation. First of all, carbonators are the main part of the beverage line. Here you can see on the screen the typical layout of the beverage line. You may see here the fill and the mixer. These are the two machines which consume CO2 and which are responsible for manufacturing the carbonated beverage. So the mixer and the carbonator basically manufactures the carbonated beverage. The problem is that these, during the process of manufacturing, somewhat between 30 to 50% of heating and cooling energy is consumed in the bottling plant. This is an enormous amount of muda, enormous amount of waste, and the reason for this waste is the inefficient CO2 dissolution process. So basically, a carbonation process is responsible for most of the energy waste on the plant. You may ask the question, what is a bad CO2 dissolution? Please think of, we may think together of the molecular structure of water as a sponge. So these are the CO2, So a bad dissolution is when the outer layer of these, of the water molecules are, when the outer layer is carbonated and not the core. You may see that here are the CO2 molecules attached to the water drop. Let's say that this is a water drop, and the CO2 molecules cannot go inside the water drop. This is bad dissolution. What is good dissolution then? A good dissolution is that when CO2 molecules are somehow managed to get inside this water drop. It means that the carbonation is uniform, the whole volume is uniformly carbonated. This is a good CO2 dissolution. There are a couple of ways to improve CO2 dissolution. The first and the most obvious one is to increase pressure, as according to Henry Law, the increase of pressure improves dissolution. This is quite costly, and it also has some wear and tear on your production equipment, especially on the filler. The fillers become worn out easily when the pressure is high. The second thing to improve the CO2 dissolution in beverages is to apply cooling. This is also an obvious step, which requires a lot of CapEx and OpEx expenditures, especially, most of the plants have some sort of a cooling system. It's OpEx because you need to spend energy for the cooling process. And the third step, which is also obvious, I must say, is to increase the surface of mass transfer between the liquid you are trying to carbonate and CO2 and gas. So the higher the surface of mass transfer, the better the carbonation, the better the bonding, and the better is the CO2 dissolution. And obviously, there are different apparatuses and processes such as injectors, ejectors, static mixers, which are used to increase the surface of mass transfer between the liquid and gas. They work with varying degrees of success. Currently, the most dominant design is the sort of ejector type machines or ejectors, which utilize the principle of laminarity and the Venturi type, so Venturi type machines. And they have outperformed the static mixers. You may see here the example of a static mixer, and the static mixer is sort of, outdated, old age technology. Let's focus right now on the new technology, which is currently on the market. It's the subcarb technology. It's a patented technology and apparatus, which is designed contrary to the ejector type machines for very high turbulence, very high pressure drop in line, and it's designed in order to achieve the speed of the liquid higher than the speed, higher than the speed of sound in this liquid. It means supersonic speed. When these conditions are met, all three conditions are met, we achieve the effect of cold boiling. It means that we vaporize any liquid like Coke, Pepsi, or mineral water, any liquid you might think of. So any liquid you'd like to carbonate, and you mix gas with gas. Basically, the subcarb technology allows carbonating gas with gas, because think of Venturi. Venturi is carbonated liquid with gas. It means that it's carbonating water drops of smaller size. So the smaller the size of the water drop, the better. And it is still liquid. In the case of the subcarb, it's gas mixed with gas. That's the main difference. Basically, in the subcarb technology, the liquid changes its state to aggregate state. CO2 is mixed with vapor, and the efficiency dissolution factor is more than 97%. It means that theoretical level of CO2 dissolution has now been achieved in practice. Let's say that we get a lot of questions. What is 97% efficiency means? I have stated it, but this is a CO2 dissolution table. Let's say a couple of words more. And Henry Law says that 4.6 bars, this is the pressure scale, 4.6 bars of gas counter pressure in your filling machine allows you to fill Coca-Cola products, let's say, or PepsiCo products, it doesn't matter, just for the reference, with 4.2 volume of carbonation, it allows filling. So 4.6 bars allows to hold 4.2 volume of carbonation at 25 degrees filling temperature. Normally, normally it's impossible to fill at this high temperature, so in reality. Yeah, but theory says it's possible. And the carbonation, when is it possible? You need two factors. The first one is that the carbonation technology must deliver 100% efficiency. So it means that the theoretical efficiency is in reality the same. It's the same that the real efficiency. And when the filling technology doesn't have measured design flows, obviously there are different types of equipment. The filling equipment, volumetric machines, or mechanical machines, volumetric machines are way better. But nevertheless, the Henry Law says that it's possible to fill at 25 degrees Celsius. It's net zero manufacturing. It's not even ambient temperature filling. It's more than ambient temperature filling. And the modern technology, the modern beverage carbonation technology allows this, for example, in connection with the volumetric machines or decent mechanical machines. If the mechanical machine is good enough, it's possible to achieve this filling temperature on very high carb products. There are 3 steps. We'll go quickly through these 3 slides about the 3 steps about the subcarb technology difference and how this super efficient dissolution happens. The first step is you need to convert as much kinetic energy to potential energy as possible. So you need very high speed in order to get extreme turbulence. You need to turbulate the drain. This is contrary to the any Venturi type ejector. So in the Venturi type, you want all the flows laminar. In the subcarb technology, you need extreme turbulence. Then there is a second step. You need vacuum, obviously, but the vacuum, the main difference between the subcarb tech, which is patented, and the Venturi, type devices, is that the vacuum is created abruptly. It's an abrupt pressure drop. So first is the turbulent flow. Then there is an abrupt pressure drop, and the liquid vaporizes. It means that it changes its aggregate state. And the new state is a state of wet supersaturated steam. It means that it's gas. Then the third step is that in the new technology, you need to somehow condense the components of the product to liquid, because you have some precious formulation of Coca-Cola, PepsiCo. So you need to bring it back, and you need a very abrupt pressure increase, which is basically a hypersonic leap. Happens when you think about the jets traveling through the speed, when the jet reaches the speed of 1 Mach, there is a hypersonic leap effect, and we condense the supersaturated steam to liquid back. So What does it all mean for the beverage manufacturers, the application of the new technology? It's the reduction in chilling costs, which is in cooling energy, the reduction in heating energy. So the complete elimination of warmers, or like 10 or 20% usage of the warmer, the elimination of foam and elimination of condensate, the improvement in taste, and in case the the facility needs to replace the chilling equipment, it doesn't need to buy one, or it can buy significantly smaller one, or it doesn't need to buy at all. So here are a couple of slides about the results that have been achieved around the world with the new technology, and in Asia as well, through many installations in Asia. Now, let's say this is the filling temperature, 25.5 degrees Celsius, or another example, 21 degrees Celsius, 4.3 volume of carbonation. This is a typical Coke or Pepsi type drink. At full speed and no foaming, because speed reduction is obviously the greatest sin of all. Nobody will allow speed reduction. This is another example of the canning line. Also very high temperature. This temperature, helps us understand that right now, with the introduction of the new carbonation technology, the subcarb technology, theoretical, carbonation efficiency is very close to the real efficiency is very close to theoretical efficiency. The very high savings, can be obtained when you turn off the warmer completely or the chilling system completely, depending on the price. And this is an example that this can be all calculated very easily. And depending on the efficiency, let's say, of the chiller and the cost of energy in these, in the particular region, let's say in Australia, the cost of energy is very high, and the payback can come up within a matter of months, depending on the production volume that the line that your line gets. Another example, 25 degrees Celsius, different equipment. This is, let's say, KHS machine or Crohn's machine, a silent machine, whatever machine is typical and for your operation. The improvement in quality, especially for PET containers, because of the better CO2 bonding. This is very interesting for hot climates, and because during the transportation phase, when the factory brings its product to the consumer or to the supermarket shelf, the temperatures can rise to 50 or even 60 degrees Celsius on a hot day, and the PET container can be deformed. This is without the subcarb. This is with a subcarb. You may see the difference in width, the difference in the product level here. With a subcarb technology, the bottle is less deformed. This is an interesting quality quality improvement by product. So I've promised to say a couple of words about the CO2 monitoring system. This is very important, especially in the times of the global shortage. This is a typical layout, of the two machines. This is a filling machine. This is the mixer carbonator. Both machines consume certain amount of CO2. In the example here, both machines consume equal amount of CO2, something like 10 grams per liter. This is true for the canning lines in particular. And the 100% CO2 efficiency is when whatever goes in the can is consumed by the machines, which is a rare case. Normally, this amount is lower than the amount of the total consumption by these two machines. So in order to have the efficiency monitoring system on the factory, you need to install at least one mass flow meter before the mixer and the filler, and measure and connect connect the system to the PLC of the filler and the mixer in order to understand the speed of the line, the format of the container which is being run, and the CO2 dose. in order to understand the 100% efficiency. This is done through the CO2 monitoring system. This is an example of a simple system. You may see here that this is the screen. This is a real example from the KHS canning line. 1,000 cans per minute, not a very fast one. Let's see, the line consumes 600 kilograms per hour, which is a very, very big consumption. And here is so you can see to the left. I hope that you can see this indicator. This is the consumption of the filler, around 200 kilograms, and this is the consumption of the mixer, around 400 kilograms. And this is the total consumption, more than 500 kilograms per hour. And after, let's say, the introduction of the new subcarb technology, you observe that with all the parameters being the same, I mean, product, speed, carbonation, you observe that the consumption became 200 kilograms per hour, around 250, which is a very, very dramatic decrease. This can be true when the counter pressure gas in the mixer, in the filler, is CO2. When it's sterile air, it's not usually the case. The reduction of CO2 consumption is not that dramatic. So it's important. So my value proposition is that right now, most of the plants have 3, 4, 5, even 6 lines. I've seen the plant with 12 lines in Mexico, or there is a big plant in Brazil. Each and every line must be equipped at least with a simple CO2 monitoring system, with all the data, all the historical charts and trends, so you can understand what's going on, what actions influence the efficiency. Is it the operator? Is it some fault? Is it the leakage? So basically, different charts can be generated by the systems, and this is a typical chart. Let's say after the introduction of the technology, you observe a decline in CO2 usage. Just maybe the last slide about the new subcarb technology. The technology is quite interesting by its non-complexity, as the subcarb technology is a plug and carbonate solution. Takes from 4 to 8 hours to upgrade any line of any manufacturer, and the line will be running with no downtime. The cost of the solution is minor to the cost of the new filler, because you may say, hey, there are fillers of Groans and KHS which are designed as ambient fillers, but the new technologies like a tablet of aspirin, it helps to make these very nice machines even better, outstanding, and to turn off the cooling system completely. If the operation is equipped with a very old machine like Mojone type machine, Mitsubishi machine, or very old machine, these very old and sometimes bad machines, not because they are simply bad, but because they are outdated, these machines will become good machines with the help of the new carbonation technology. The paybacks are pretty good as well, sometimes outstanding as 4 months, and the payback never exceeds 30 months and it depends mostly on the volume and the cost of energy resources. Basically, this is it. I hope that I managed to grab your attention for a while, and we'll also be exhibiting together with GWI Instruments. Please visit us at ProPack Asia, booth P51, the same booth where Gary will be, so you can check, two amazing technologies, to amazing stuff of equipment. Thank you so much for having me here. I'll be willing to answer any questions if you have them. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Alexander, for your presentation. That was really interesting. So I would like to move on to another speakers, but before that, please do leave the question if you have any question to any of our speakers. We will go through with this once we finish the last speakers. So the next speakers, I would like to invite Miss Vicentia Samaratika. She is a Global Sensory Manager from Flavor Active. She will be presenting on the topic Empowering Sensory Excellence with Flavor Active. So please welcome Vicentia.
Thank you, June. I will share my screen. All right. So hopefully you can see the screen okay. And so after we are listening to two gentlemen with the impressive technology, and now I'd like to get your attention to talk more about the human, about human sensory. So the title of the webinar here is Empowering Sensory Excellence with Flavor Active, the transformative power of a sensory program. And today's presenter is myself, Vincentia Smaratika, or Tika. I'm APAC Global Sensory Manager for Flavor Active. So the agenda for today, we will talk about the world of sensory science, a brief introduction to Flavor Active, the power of a sensory program, the program by IN, sensory panel management, practical sensory training sessions, data management, and wrap up with best practices. So sensory sensations are all around us. And in food beverage, we can see the colorful cocktail string. We can taste the sourness of lemon. We can smell the smell of freshly brewed coffee. We can hear the sound as you open a can of a fresh beer, and you can feel the tingle on your tongue from carbonated soft drinks, and feel heat from spices and cooling from mint. And while for non-foods beverage, you can smell the smell of your new car. You can feel the thickness of hand lotion, and you can see the color of house paint. And sensory analysis, by definition, is a scientific discipline used to evoke, measure, analyze, and interpret reactions on characteristics of food and materials as they are perceived by means of seeing, smelling, tasting, touching, and hearing. So we use our five senses to perceive the sensation around us. Let's talk more about the basic taste. So humans can only recognize five basic tastes. Those are sweet, sour, salty, bitter, and umami. And most food and drinks have the combined taste of the basic taste, mouthfeel or chemical irritation, and aromas. While other flavor perceptions are not relative to taste perception, but to smell. And chemical irritation or trigeminal response, such as CO2 that we talked about in the last two presentations, is a sparkling sensation. Sometimes it's confused with taste as well. Well, it is a chemical irritation or mouthfeel in our mouth. So a brief introduction to Flavor Active. We have two locations in the UK. First is our Sensory Center Global Headquarters, where our main business activities are located here. The second is the GMP Flavor Center, dedicated to Flavor Active. This is the state-of-the-art pharma facility, designed from the ground up at the direct request of our global customers, and it has strict adherence to good manufacturing practices or GMP, ensure a safe, stable, traceable, consistent, and reliable products. And our global presence, we have 3 regional directors in Americas, in EMEA, Europe, Middle East, Africa, and Asia Pacific, under our Director of Global Sensory. And we have sensory specialists located around the world, delivering localized sensory support across 15 languages. Myself located in Jakarta, Indonesia. I'm looking after Southeast Asia, South Pacific, and South Korea. And in Flavor Active, our mission is to optimizing food and beverage quality. So 9 out of 10 of the largest beverage brand owners rely on Flavor Active globally for their sensory needs. So we have the complete global sensory system. First, we have the GMP flavor standards. This is a reference that you can use to train the panelists. Second, taster calibration system. We have a dedicated website and scheme to accommodate your proficiency testing needs. And then we deliver sensory training that can be accustomed to your needs. And we have sensory instruments aligned with human sensory with the bitterness analysis, freshness analysis, and aroma analysis. So talking about the power of a sensory program. So what is the value? First, it is to protect the brand sensory quality, to promote product consistency, to reduce product variability and defects, staff empowerment in decision making, swift quality control, root cause analysis and troubleshooting, and new product development and recipe formulation. And as a company, you can have some reflection on value by answering questions like, what does your sensory quality look like? Is sensory data discussed in the operations or managers meeting along with all other data? Or consumers cost or customer complaints reviewed and discussed relative to production or ingredient COR records? Does the water liking or subjective come up? So sensory is the tool that measures overall product quality and is often not given enough visibility. That's why it's important to have a sensory program by in and with the strategy and structure as below. So first, to assess organizational capacity, like the people, the space, the time and materials needed, and then elect a sensory champion that have the passion and skill set, also relevant job title, and establish the stakeholder buy-in with management support, a quality team, and also marketing involved. And last, to define goals. So what questions are you trying to answer with a sensory program? Those are some of the pillars of sensory quality. First is the champion or lead or facilitator, good sensory practices, product specifications, team members, test methods and documents, checkpoints, and connection to consumer or clients. And to have effective sensory quality program, first, it needs to be feasible within staff and time restraints, integrated into the quality program, procedure, and daily activities, use appropriate methodology and decision criteria to provide actionable results, and build a sensory culture at all levels of organizations, have the right people with the right skills. And for a sustainable sensory program, it needs to be clearly outlined process and responsibilities, use the right methods and procedures, monitor and review, measure the team performance, and do reward and recognitions of team performance. And in sensory panel management, it's very important to pay attention to good sensory practices. One of them is environment. So have you got the environment that free from distractions? An example here is the sensory laboratory. You need to have a separation between panelists. So you need to have a separated tasting booths, which also separate from the preparation area. Therefore, the panelists can really focus to do the sensory evaluation, free from all distraction outside. Second is panelists. You need to train the panelists, and they need to understand what need to do and also what not to do when they are doing the sensory evaluation. Third, how to prepare the samples correctly. Especially when serving the samples, it is always recommended to have a serving tray like this one with the reference and samples with the coded 3-digit code in the labeled on the samples, and then having the rinse water to cleanse the palate inside your mouth, and even the covered container for any product expectoration. In example, the panelists would like to spit out the sample, especially if you have like beverage or alcohol beverage, and don't forget the scorecard and pencil as well. And last to pay attention to is the method and techniques. In example here, whether your panelists already fully understand how to do the tasting technique. In example here, A is orthonasal stimulation, when you are smelling directly your beverage, and then you can detect any off note. In example, you smell carbonated soft drink, CSD, and then you can smell whether the beverage is clear of the off notes or not. And then retronasal stimulation is B here, while when you put some liquid in the mouth and then you breathe in, actually the vaporized aroma inside your mouth will travel through your nasal cavity, and then you smell from inside your mouth. And so that's called retronasal stimulation. And so those good sensory practices is really important to pay attention when you are doing a sensory panel management. And then you need to have the sensory champion or the panel leader. And the role of this person is very important. First, to ensure the good sensory practices applied in sensory evaluation session, implement and sustain the sensory program, help to build and maintain a sensory culture, and network with other team leaders to help problem solve and continuously improve the sensory program, maintain up-to-date reports of all staff and panelist sensory training, also to identify and mitigate any sensory risks. Well, for your sensory panel team, their responsibilities is to evaluate sample using good sensory practices and maintain sensory proficiency. So they need to be able to identify good or characteristic product, can identify uncharacteristic products and common defects or off notes, can scale sensory attribute intensity when trained. And desirable skills of the panelists are meet sensory training requirements, understand and apply good sensory practices, motivated, reliable, will evaluate objectively, not wanting to provide the right answer, quick learner, confident, can speak in front of others, available for sensory evaluation. And how to create a sensory panel. So here I have the flow chart, a typical flow chart for sensory panel team formation. So the first stage is to do recruitment by advertising or questionnaire. And then you need to do the screening by doing some tests, equity screening tests. And then after you have the panelists with which pass the minimum score, they can pass through the next stage with the training, with the general methods and principles. So after the training finish, then you have a trained sensory panelist, which you can select for any specific purposes. And this group of panelists or sensory panel need to be monitored and then also need to be trained to improve expertise. So monitoring and training will be a repeated process. And let's talk about the practical sensory training sessions. I'd like you to see the graph here. So you can see here the level of training and also the sensory skills. The first level is basic training, usually for plant level. usually involve the detection and recognition and identification. And second is the intermediate training for bigger plant level, usually also covered the scaling or the ability to perceive the intensity of sensory attributes or flavors. And then third level is advanced training, usually for regional and corporate panel. Usually we'll cover all of those three, and also a short profiling. And then the last one is expert training, usually for R&D or innovation panel, which usually do a lot of new product development. They need to be able to master all of those sensory skills from detection, recognition, identification, scaling, and detailed profiling or FPA, the flavor profile analysis. So the typical practical sessions, we can deliver flavor recognition tests, blind validation tests, in and out tests, scaling tests, quality rating tests, and profiling. And then in our training, usually we use our GMP flavor standards here. You can have a look. Here in example, metallic is a typical contaminant in beverages because you use the steel tank, steel pipe, and then you can have this metallic of notes impart into your beverage, or even the musty. The musty here will give like moldy or damp aroma, which is bad for your beverage. And other consideration is the data management. So we can pay attention to the data collection, the data storage, real-time processing, data security, ability to measure panelist performance, visualizations and reporting, and scalability and flexibility. And for proficiency testing, we have a system supported by Flavor Active, TVS or Tester Validation Scheme. Key benefits are measure proficiency of sensory panel, a comparison of performance by site, by panelists, by corporation, demonstrate competence to third parties such as accreditation bodies or customers, monitor trends in sensory performance over time, and allow imitation of corrective actions, needs for refresher training, or even panelist removal from the panel. So I'd like you to see here, we have the TVS with 6 color-coded capsules that contained randomized flavors or off notes, and then you can use your smartphone even to enter the data. And for proficiency testing, it's important to do because after you do sensory training, if you don't do any proficiency testing, after 1 year, 2 years, then the sensory performance will reduce. Well, if you do the proficiency testing, the sensory performance will be maintained and even increase along the time. And we can see the workflow for the proficiency testing. First, to do the sensory testing with the capsules, and then do the results entry, and then see the automatic result directly from the website. For the proficiency testing program test, there are 4 levels. Level 1 is the easier one. It is in-out. This is to test the ability to identify defects outside of product specification. Level 2 is conformance. This is to rating guide for whether a product meets specifications, standards, and if not, naming the specific defect. Level 3 is flavor identification to test the ability to identify specific flavors. And level 4 is rank rating to test the ability to scale the intensity of flavors. So to wrap up the presentation today, I'd like to let you know the best practices to have transformative power of sensory program. First is to do the training, screen and train panel leader and also panelists. Second, to do the monitoring by regular proficiency testing to monitor panelists' individual sensory capability. Third, to maintain panelists by referring to training and proficiency testing results and keep reliable panelists. And the last stage is to improve by doing refreshment sensory training and also proficiency testing score improvement. And then this will be a continuous loop where you need to do train, monitor, maintain, improve, and then you need to do train again, especially if you have a new team member, new panel leader, and you need to maintain the loop continuously because sensory program need to be sustainable and effective. All right, so thank you all for the attention. Please join us at ProPack Asia in Bangkok, 12 to 15 June 2024. We will be on the GW Industrial Instruments stand, booth P51. If you have any question, please write down in the Q&A and we will answer after the last speaker. All right, thank you. Back to you, Jen.
Thank you so much, Vicentia. Okay, so for the last speaker of today, I would like to invite Mr. Somsin Sankhawetai. He is the Commercial Director, Brentag Specialties Nutrition from Brentag Ingredients Thailand Public Company Limited. He will be presenting on the topic beverage and ingredient trends from Thailand. So please welcome.
Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. As you already listened to three speakers, which is more in-depth technical details. So my session will be a little bit more relaxed because I'm talking about trend, some of the innovation, some of the interesting ingredients that can be used in the beverage application. And one other thing is that the time is already overdue. I think I try to be as fast as I can to go through the presentation, and of course, presentation will be available after the webinar, so you can go through the details later on. So let me move or introduce a little bit for the association that I represent today. In fact, today I'm joined this webinar on behalf of the Thai Beverage Association of Thailand. As you may already know, or if you want to understand more, you can go to the Thai TBA website. We are already more than 15 years in Thailand, and our aim is to really enhance the beverage manufacturing industry in Thailand to, let's say that, to have a very long-standing, in terms of the sustainability, market development, the kind of, the discussion with all kind of the authority to make sure that Thailand beverage industry is moving ahead. And this one we are mainly comprised with the company. Now we have like 46 members, but is focused more on the non-alcohol beverage. You can see the big name in this slides. And then again, please contact TBA Direct if you need to apply for membership. It will be worth it. All right, so come back to the presentation. So first session, I will be talking a little bit more about the market overview and the key driver for the beverage market here in Thailand. So from this slide, you can see that this is again coding from Mintel. So you see from the left-hand side, this is the total beverage, non-alcohol beverage market here in Thailand. From 2018, 2023, and forecast for another 5 more years to 2028. So you can see that CAGR for the past 5 years and CAGR for the next 5 years for both value and volume. In terms of both value and volume, one thing is very interesting if you see the CAGR numbers is that in the next 5 years, Mintel predict that the growth of the beverage industry in Thailand will be significantly higher than the past 5 years. And that is very interesting. And I may have some answer in the next few slides. And then on the right hand side, you can see that the share of brands, top 10 here in Thailand, also all the big brand name that you may already seen or heard or know before. Coca-Cola, Thai Bev, Bunrod, Pepsi, Nestle, TC Pharma, also Japan, RJ, Ichitan, and Tipco Food, and much more. And I would say that all of this company, which is non-alcoholic beverage, is part of the TBA members. And then for the consumption of beverage among Thai's consumer in 2023, which is last year, this is to see the segmentation for what kind of category that consumer is consume most. And this is also captured from Mintel as well. So as you can see that on the left hand side, which is showing the 2 or 3 biggest category that is still very big here in Thailand. And I think that this is not only 23, but also back 3-4 years before. This category also big and also will continue to be a very key player of Thai beverage market, which is carbonated soft drink, bottling water. I mean, this kind of your drinking waters. And in Thailand, when we are mentioned about the non-bottling water, is usually is the non-sparkling, but also this one is also includes sparkling as well. And also another one is also very big here is the ready-to-drink coffee, which is spearheaded by the Birdie and also Nestle, which is now also still continue to maintain a popularity among the Thai consumer as well. And the rest, if you are going to the right hand side, which is a little bit less appeal to Thai consumer, is the hot beverage, meal replacement, and also fermented thing like kombucha. In fact, the kombucha one is quite interesting because in the past few years, it's been very popular. It was shoot up in terms of the interesting into the consumer regarding this kind of pro-prebiotic beverage, which is to help in terms of immunity. But after COVID, I think the trend is a little bit dropped. But I think it's still having a kind of potential here in Thailand for not only the kombucha one, but also the drink that is feature health benefit, which is I will talk it a little bit more in the later slides. And now it's coming to the key driver for the growth of the beverage market here in Thailand, which is I mentioned already that in the next 5 years, they are a potential of the big growth compared to the last 5 years. One other thing, and I think everybody is very well aware of, especially for us here in Thailand, but also in the other countries nearby, which is also experiencing the same issue, which is the heat. The heat problem. The temperature is incredible high for this year and top up from the last year, and also predicted to be even more hotter and hotter in all every part of Thailand. And then like I think today it should be the one of the hottest day in Thailand as well. And the area which is the hottest in Thailand is already in record is in Lampang or in the northern part of Thailand. Is totally very hot. We are now sit in the aircon room, so we don't feel a thing. But then the guys who walk out, even I walked out when we facing the sun, is totally very heat up. And this one is helping by the beverage because 70% of Thai consumer think that if you're drinking enough water or drinking enough beverage, which is having the thirsting and quenching properties, can help them to hydrate their body, which is can help them to counteract the heating experience or condition that they are exposed to. So this is one of the area that why beverage will be soaring in terms of growth due to the fact that consumer is seeking for more beverage to quenching their heating issue. And this one, another slide from the standard. Sorry, it's in Thai. I just want to show you here because it is very alarming. Because it means they say that in the next 6 years, the weather clock of the world will count down to the deadline. So it's 5 years and 285 days. The temperature will rise even more than 1.5 degrees Celsius. And what will happen, of course, everybody know. And that's why now I think everybody have to really seriously looking into how to help in terms of reduction of the carbon footprint and everything. All right. So yeah, just want to leave this message for everybody here in the room, in the webinar, which is we are in the industry, and I think we are all responsible to help the world to be a better place. And driver number 2 for the beverage market, and this is in fact it is not only the beverage market but also the food segment industry as well, regarding the health related function of the product itself. And this is the Mintel survey, which is asking the consumer to list down what are the 3 most important factors when they consider to buying food and drink, which is including beverage. And of course, not surprising, the nutritional value and the added health benefit is come to the top, followed closely by taste. And I would say that in Thailand, taste is still everything, because if we are talking about health food, but then it tastes not good, it's not going to last. But then, of course, now the health components of the product is become more and more relevant and more important. It's meaning that maybe if the taste is a little bit not so good, but then it's give you a little bit more in terms of the nutrition value and added health benefit, Thai consumer would consider to buy it. And on the right hand side, you can see that it's very obvious because from the survey, it showed that the Thai consumer combining together for the one who said that they can pay or they're willing to pay more than 10% over the product under the same category but with no health benefit added is 47%, or almost half, which is mentioned, and this is create a big opportunity for the food and drink producer to consider to fortify or changing, adapting their formulation to adding more health benefit ingredients. And in terms of the functional ingredients, when they choose, when the Thai almost 75%, they are going or likely to buy. This one is quite similar to the previous slide. So they are most likely to buy the product with higher price or premium perceived value with the health benefit added into the products. So and part of it is 45% in terms of beverage. If they are considered to buy the beverage, it's almost half. They will consider to buy the beverage which is contain the health ingredients or health benefits, for example, collagen or probiotic. And this is also aligned with the another survey, which is considered especially for the aging population, because one of the things is that Thailand is now heading into the aging society. So aging population is becoming more and more target consumer for all of the brand producer or product producer, food and drink producer, because this guy or this group has the money, has the buying power. So we have to consider to target this segment as well. And in terms of the, if we ask the demand for the functional health benefit from the food and drinks, what are the benefit that Thai consumer choose? There are so very a lot. I mean, even the lowest one still having a more than 30% respondent, which is still very good in my opinion. But then for the most highest one on the left-hand side, which is highlighted in purple, are immune, eye health, skin, which is considered a kind of beauty, and digestion. And these are the trend or health trend for Thai consumer that they are looking for the product that claim health benefit. And when we are talking about the health claim of claiming health benefit, I think we have to look into the new West regulation from Thai FDA as well. So just recently, Thai FDA has announced 4 new regulation, which is going to be enforced in July the 2nd. So they are the notification number 445, 446, 447, and 448. These are talking about nutrition labeling, GDA guideline, health claim, and related to food supplement. What is the purpose of this new implication or new announcement from Thai FDA? It is very simple. Thai FDA want to ensure that whatever product that claim any functional health benefit has to make sure that their product are good products. And what are the good products? Okay, so they will focus more. This is from notification number 445, appendix number 4. They will focus more if you want to declare in terms of the nutrition or health claim or functional claim. These are the total 5 items or 5 category that they need to ensure that their product do not over in the case that they want to be a health claim. So the guideline is that fat is if more than 13 grams or sat fat is more than 4 grams, cholesterol, sodium, and total sugar, especially total sugar. If this product contain these things more than the what mentioned by the regulation, you have to really make a big label to ensure that consumer aware of it. And then in the case of the another regulation 447, so in the case that you want to claim in terms of the health claim, which is like reduction of health disease, this product, your product has to have these 5 items less than what already mentioned in 445, which is fats, cholesterol, sodium, and sugar has to be less than this. If not, you cannot claim. All right, so meaning that if you want to claim, your product has to be good. And if consider your product is good, meaning that this 5 item has to be within regulation framework. And then 448, this is also interesting, mentioned about, this is for the supplement only, but it's also give a big impact to the food industry because they are revising the RDI for the micronutrients. Some of them are increased, some of them are decreased, but I highlight one item, which is vitamin C. You can see that this new regulation, the RDI increased for vitamin C from 60 milligram to 1 grams or 1,000 milligram, much higher than before, and meaning that if a food supplement or functional drink beverage, which is want to claim high vitamin C, and meaning that they have to add much more vitamin C into their product. And what is a consequence, which meaning that the cost will be much higher if you want to claim. All right. So that is about the new regulation. Of course, if you want to know more about this, you can just go to the FDA website and check it out. Now, I will touch on some of the main health benefit that is Thai consumer is quite interesting in. First one is immunity and digestion ingredients. So in terms of the consumer perception, in terms of immunity ingredients, what are the one that Thai consumer is picked it up? So you can see the list. They are all micronutrients or some of the protein, probiotic, iron, selenium, beta-glucan. But then the top one that is consumer believe that they are contribute to the better immunity is multivitamin, protein, and probiotic. Okay, and then we are when we are talking about the Thai consumer have a busy schedule and lack of time to consume the proper food. So Thai consumer always if especially for the generation or the people who have a little bit high status can afford to buy a supplement, so they will consider to buy multivitamins. And you can see that some of the vitamins on the right hand side that are considered by the food and beverage producer to add it onto their product is vitamin C is come up is very high. As a number one, as you can see, there's a lot of vitamin C beverage in the market at the moment, and those are we have an issue after the new regulation enforced because vitamin C has to be increased. Of course, there are the grace period for 2 years, but then after 2 years, you have to add much more vitamin C to your products. And vitamin C also considered as an antioxidant along with vitamin E, which is also help in terms of immunity as well. And when we are talking about immunity, a lot of study are aiming into the botanical and herbs product, which is showing a lot of the immunity efficacy effect. And in this page, we list down some of the herb and botanical product that is contribute or believed to be contribute to the immunity health. Products like ginger, cinnamon, black rice bran extract, buckwheat extract, ginger ferment and red ginseng fermented carrot, fermented leaf, fermented onion. So a lot is also related to the ferment items, ferment product for immune enhancing ingredients coming from the plant or botanical. So I'm going to introduce you just quickly one product that is very, very special and is come up to commercial in Thailand very soon, which is cordyceps, gold cordyceps. You may say cordyceps is already very old, but in fact, this one, they are having a kind of very specific technology to bring the very pure active ingredient of the cordyceps, which also backed up by the study and confirmed that if you consume the product with the active cordycepin for this only 2.585 milligram a day, you will be very in terms of your health or immune system. You have a very good immune system to fighting everything that happening nowadays. So this company called BIST, the product is Immune Up. Okay, and this company is the one that I think I would like to introduce here, because this company in fact is coming from the, let's say, the group of researchers from the Major University, which is partly join the work with Agri Inno, also from the which is part of the scientific industry. I mean the ministry, which is fund of all kind of the new invention from the university, and this one they are guiding together, and then also support funding by the Thai oil company. So this is a very good model for academic and industry join together to take the concept product, which is usually only in the lab scale, and put into the shell, but then now they want to roll it out and commercialize it. And this is 100% purely Thai, which is I'm very proud to share, because this product will be also distributed by Brentech very soon as well. So the product, this one again, they are using the very proprietary technology. This technology is a fermentation, and also the benefit of this technology is that the culture medium is very pure. Everything is under control. fermentation is also in closed system, so it's very hygiene. Also, the fermentation no need in terms of the light, so it's also save the energy. And the turnaround of the culture step up scale from, let's say, 1 liter to 1,000 liter is very quick. Okay, and then also the dosage also very standardized, because I already mentioned the dosage, and also the cost is optimum. And also this one, Thai FDA already approved to use in terms of supplement and beverage in sealed container. And this is their study. They already making the study and publish this paper already. Also, the test study is done within the Thai population, and confirm that 2.85 milligram of cordyceps is very effective for immune system. So that's the product I want to share in terms of the ingredient. But then we are showing some of the finished product that already in the market. Some of them are the product from Thailand. Some of them are the product from other country. You can see everywhere. Thailand is getting picked up. You may see this product much more in Western or European market, but Thailand is catching up, I'm sure. And also for the gut microbiome, now I'm talking about the digestive health, which is also believed, also proven, well proven that to help in terms of the immune system as well. So, 54% of Thai consumers have heard and understand of the concept of the probiotics, because it's not new, but it's still ongoing. And I will say that this is still quite a good trend, interesting trend in Thailand for ingredient to be considered. So probiotic is come up with among in the top in terms of the belief to helping in terms of immune system, because if your gut very healthy, it's believed that it's also help in terms of your body immunity as well. And these are the products in Thailand which is already launched. All are Thai product and all using or claiming to have the added probiotic for the immune and gut health benefit. Okay, so on the left hand side we have the product from Beverage, product called Vitaday, which is very popular in Thailand as well. Then from the 2-1 Thailand, the product is green tea honey kombucha. Again, this is kombucha. Kombucha is considered pre-probiotic as well. And then plum sparkling from the Body Absolute Thailand. Okay, this one also using the probiotic or fortified with the light probiotic, which is also help in terms of the immune system. And the last one is product from the company Terra Food, which is a smoothie, which is very interesting because this one they are quite successful in terms of the smoothie product type, which is also they launched a series of the functional beverage into the market, and very successful company. And the next ingredient which is helping in terms of immune, which is protein. Okay, so why protein? Usually we think that protein should be a kind of bodybuilding, helping you in terms of body or repair the muscle and everything. But then again, people also believe that the with a good supplement or take care of your intake of protein, which is also helping in terms of build up body mass and also lean body, also can lead into of the body to be strong and resist in terms of infection and protect against all the illness, including which you have a good immunity to help fight the disease. Okay, so on the right hand side you can see that the opportunity to add the protein or high protein claim in the beverage usually is coming in top is a meal replacement, which is still quite a small segment here. So I would say this is a big gap here in Thailand in terms of beverage to add high protein content and launch into the market. So one of the ingredients that is for making the beverage high protein is the product called Clearway from the Ara food ingredient, which also represented by Bentag as well. So this is a product that can help you to formulate the beverage with transparent. Usually the high protein bev will be very cloudy, but this one will make it very transparent. So lighter texture, so consumer can take it with a very relaxed feeling, light feeling, not like heavy drinking, because some of the high protein drink is very difficult to drink, I would say. But this one is very, very good. And some of the Clearway high protein beverage that's already available in the market from Thailand. This is like, you can see that most of them mention 20 grams or more per bottle, because in Thailand, if you want to claim high protein, you have to have at least 20 gram protein content in your one serving. And another protein, which is not animal, which is plant, but this one, plant protein, is becoming very trendy for a long time already, and now it's a little bit slowing down, but still maintain very interesting in certain segment. And of course, in terms of plant, you have pea, you have almond, you have coconut, but the most highest known by the consumer is still pea protein. But now almond, coconut, and everything is coming much more important or interesting. And I just want to share this one to you because, again, this product we consider novel in Thailand for sure. But this is a very innovative and interesting product, because this is protein. They add protein. Protein is coming from the fruit called obi fruit, which is found in the Africa. And they have active component called bacillin, which is the protein, and it is a sweet protein, and is considered to be more than 500 to 2,000 times sweetener than sucrose. So they already a product launched in the market, as you can see here in US, and I'm sure that it will coming to Asia Pacific very soon, because then you can formulate a drink which is sweet, but instead of using the protein, but you're using this sweet protein instead. Okay, I just tap on the mental health, because another thing that we are having issue is that everybody is stressed. I also stressed. I think everybody here today is stressed because it's overtime already. So I just go quickly now. So stress, insomnia. So 50% of the Thai people agree that if you have a food and drink that improve mental well-being, they will be very interesting. And some of the product that already launched to the market, this is some of the example. In fact, these are mostly coming from overseas, especially from Japan or Taiwan, which are very far advanced in terms of the mental well-being sector. And I think that's it for I would. Oh, sorry, I thought I high already. So I just skip, because I is in fact everybody is very well known about it. So I gotta stop here because I think it's too much overtime already. Thank you again. And if you want to contact Bentag for more information about all kind of ingredients, health ingredients, functional ingredients, please contact me afterward. Okay, thank you. ขอบคุณครับ
ขอบคุณค่ะ and thank you so much, Mr. Songsin. Okay, so now because we are a bit over time, may I ask all the speakers to turn on the camera, and then we're gonna have a quick photo session together. Oh, I think Alexander is not here.
He may have gone to bed, I think, because it was like 3 a.m. for him, I think.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, all right. Okay, I'm just gonna count to 1 to 3. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, let me check. Okay. Thank you so much. And then I'm just gonna go through to the question real quick. We can just pick up one or two question only, considering the time. Okay, I think this one, Sean, the question is for you. They ask, is ISBT guidelines comply with EU and FDA regulations?
I mean, ISBT is just a guideline, so the FDA will it's basically a guide that we give to the beverage companies to give them an idea of what contaminants are in it and what the level should be for beverage grade. So it's more for the beverage companies to choose that. FDA guidelines are probably not as stringent as ours, and in EU they also follow a different guideline. But the ISBT guidelines is what's been accepted by industry, I would say. So the large bottlers are basically using ISBT guideline because it's more stringent. Gary may also have some comment about that because he's...
Yeah, that's right, Sean. So before ISBT guidelines existed in 2000, there were very minimal requirements around CO2 quality as an ingredient. So what you found was some CO2 suppliers in different parts of the world were supplying different quality or different grades of CO2. And the beverage companies on a regional basis had different requirements as well. So this, after the major incident in Belgium in 2000, the industry came together to, if you like, agree or put in place the ISBT guidelines, which is what the beverage industry uses worldwide. So there are FCC, the Food Codex in America, which is a department of the FDA. But as you saw in my slide, the requirements there are minimal, and they certainly don't capture everything that's required from the beverage industry's perspective. And as Sean said, the EU, the European Commission, are happy to be guided by IGA, which is the same standard, by the way. It's IGA, CGA, and ISBT. They're all the same. They're a harmonized standard for the beverage industry.
Okay, thank you so much, Sean and Gary. I think we can take just one last question. I will make sure that all the questions that being asked in this webinar will be sent to our speakers directly, and then they can share with you through the email. So the question is, is there any international standard for food grade CO2?
I think the previous question answered that. Are you specifically asking for food grade or beverage grade? Because we're on a beverage conference, not food.
Yeah, they did say food grade, but anyway, Mr. Songsin, I think this is quite random question, but I think some of them want to know that is the kombucha is late competition in Thai market. Do you have any ideas?
Not less competition, but less attract by the consumer, meaning that the popularity is reducing from before. Because I think one other thing is that there are much more offer in terms of pre-probiotic product in the market. So that's why they are losing some of like popularity, but they are still there.
Okay, thank you. And I saw that Cynthia already answered to some of her question already about the sensory evaluations. Yeah. Just want to point it out to everyone. So they asking how to avoid bias during evaluation if the panelist is within the corporations. Cynthia?
Hello.
Yes.
So I answered in the chat. So first, a panel leader, they need to make sure that the panelists understand to maintain their objectivity. While sensory evaluation, perhaps thought like subjective, but actually you can maintain your objectivity. Means you need to rely on your senses if you are a panelist and to do what instructed. In example, if the samples say need to be take out which one is different, then you need to just smell and taste and then take one which one is the different one. And second, for the panel leader is to prepare sample as neutral as possible by giving only general information about the sample. In example, if you have an example Coca-Cola, Coke, and then you can just provide like, oh, this is a soft drink products, and then you can put a 3-digit code, something like that. And also you need to have a separate preparation area. Therefore, because in the company, sometimes you have the complaint product and then it will show like the batch number, the brand products, all the things. And therefore, panelists need to be prevented to seeing all of the information. All they need only samples and some of the scorecard, and then they taste and put the result. So as neutral as possible, free from distraction, so the panelist can be focused. Even if the panelist is within corporation, that is okay. Hopefully that answers the question. Thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia. I think that's the last questions of today's session. So on behalf of the Informas, the organizer of ProPack Asia, I would like to thank all speakers for the great presentation. It was a pleasure to have you with us, and thank you to everyone for participating in today's webinar. And just a quick reminder that your certificate of participation will be sent out within 5 working days. After you have completed the webinar survey that you can see from the screen now. And last but not least, I would like to invite everyone to join the ProPack Asia 2024, the Premium Processing and Packaging Exhibition for Asia. ProPack Asia is the regional #1 international trade event for product solution and technology on processing and packaging, which is covering vertical markets such as food and beverage industry, personal care, cosmetic, pharmaceutical, FMCG, and agriculture. The event will be held on 12th till 15th of June 2024 at Bangkok International Trade and Exhibition Center, or BITEC, in Bangkok, Thailand. The pre-registration is now open. You can simply scan the QR code on the screen that you can see right now. So we hope to see you there, and thank you and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.